Why do we have a military? Hmm. I was asked this question from a woman from Texas on another stream last night. So she's one of those people who say, quote unquote, we need to do something about it. And she was trying to debate me on how worshiping Christ, in her mind, isn't doing something about it. So she asked me, why do we have a military? So I didn't get the chance to respond to this person on someone else's stream last night. So this is my response. I aim to please. To begin with, there are two aspects to this question. One of them is worldly and the other is spiritual. But there is some overlap between the two, and they both explain certain aspects of this question. So I'm going to start with the spiritual answer first. And the spiritual answer should be enough alone. But regardless, as a courtesy, I'll add in the other one as well. So here we go. The military is designed, if you believe what you're told by the government, to defend the world. In this case, that aspect of the world is a country, the United States. But we are not supposed to be of the world, be in the world, but not of the world. So let's say the main purpose of the military was to defend our lives and prolong life. What good does it do a man to gain the world or a country and lose his soul? For whoever will save his life shall lose it, and whoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. So without the military, maybe you will lose your life. So what? You're going to lose your carnal life no matter what you do. You cannot take your carnal existence with you. You cannot take your house with you. You can't take your computer with you. At some point, you're going to die. It happens to all of us. We all die. And all the armies in this world cannot stop that. But beyond that, look what happened to the apostles. They were all martyrs. They all gave up their lives for what they believed. That was the example they set. And the Bible clearly says the greatest love there is when you lay down your life for a friend. So, let's go on further with this. When Jesus was in danger, he had to say that he could call down an army of angels to defend him if he wanted to, but he didn't. So Jesus did not need an army, and you do not need an army either. In fact, if there was an army that would have rescued Jesus back then none of us would have salvation now. The apostles followed his example by becoming martyrs. Stephen was stoned to death. He did not even throw stones back at his attackers. He surely didn't have an army with him. In fact, he prayed for his attackers as they killed him. So you are not meant to have an army from a biblical perspective. So from a spiritual perspective, you don't need an army. That comes from a worldly perspective. This just tells me that you are still of the world. Now, the Zealots were the closest thing to an army that Israel had at that time. Barabbas was a zealot. That was like being a freedom fighter or a soldier in the military, so to speak. So Barabbas was, in a way, like I just said, in the military. So the people were given a choice of who they wanted to save. Barabbas, whose name means son of the Father, or Jesus, who is also the son of the Father. So people had a clear choice between which son of the Father they wanted. A worldly military father or a spiritual son of the Father. That clearly shows that the believers do not need a military of this world. But wait, there is more. Now let's look at this from a worldly perspective. Worldly people, such as the person who asked this question, might understand this part better. I stress the word might. There is a reason why we had the best military in the world. And there's a reason why now they are weakening our military and feminizing it. Basically, they're feminizing it because they don't need it anymore. The bankers used our military, basically their military, when they needed us to go fight their wars for them and push their banking empire around the globe. But that time's done. That's why they're getting rid of it now. They don't need us anymore. Our services are no longer required. So the worldly problem with your premise is that you assume that the American military is controlled by America. Now, I was going to talk to you about how Masonic America has been from the start, but I don't think you would get it. So I'm not going to waste my breath. You have held on to your programming far too long for me to waste my breath on that. So we're going to bypass that for now. That'll be your homework. I know this will be hard for you to process, but all the wars we fought had zero to do with the interests of the people of the United States. No matter how many times they lied to you about that, that's not why we did it. We were the thug arm of the Rothschilds bankers. That is why we had a strong military. And the soldiers who died fighting their wars were treated as blood sacrifices by the bankers who really run this world. I know that's going to be a hard one for you, but just, ruminate on that for a bit. Now, I know you are heavily programmed, and this will probably go over your head. So I'm going to present you with 2 quotes to help you digest this information directly from the horse's mouth. The first quote is from Nathan Meyer Rothschild. Here it goes. He who controls the issuance of money controls the government. They own the Federal Reserve. That means they own this government. And when you pay taxes on your home, that's really you renting from your landlord, the Rothschilds. They own everything, including you. So they, not the USA government, controls the military. Still not getting it? Okay. Let's look at quote number 2. Rothschild matriarch Gutle Schnapper Rothschilds said, "If my sons did not want wars, there would be none." Let that sink in for a minute. So the truth is, we do not have a military. The Rothschilds have a military, despite whatever we choose to call it. So your question is faulty from the start. The question should have been, why do the Rothschilds have a military? I hope that answers your question. Enjoy your cognitive dissonance. I aim to please.